All right, welcome everyone. We are doing Beer Protocol, and we are talking about Ronan the Accuser.
Hi, everyone. This is Jacob. Today I am drinking another V for Victory special, the Easy Ringer.
Um, since I found out that apparently I am gluten sensitive and I am unable to drink beer,
It's a tragedy for him and for us.
uh, and the wine is not ready downstairs, so it's still breathing. I am drinking the root. I am drinking the root of the beer. Um, from Dominion. Yeah, I'm drinking root beer.
What a weird way to phrase it.
It's the root of the beer.
Is it?
It
Is
is.
it?
It is. All right, so Ronan the Accuser. I personally have no care in this character.
You really should. So Ronan, as a little bit of background, pretty much all anyone really knows is from the MCU, where he had body paint and he hit people with a hammer. The comic book character has a slightly more nuanced background. He's basically Judge Dredd in space.
Yeah, kinda.
And one of the reasons there is a reason he's on the Guardian affiliation, in addition to each affiliation having both heroes and villains, in the comics, Ronan actually has worked with the Guardians on a few occasions when their goals aligned with his.
Yeah, he's not like in the comics. He's not like the MCU where he's just like, I need to destroy the entirety of this race. It's like, they did some bad stuff. I need to go beat them up.
Ronan is basically a space cop. And he's, let's be honest, a lot more effective at that job than the Guardians are. So it was kind of interesting because they turned him into a space warlord for the movies, which worked for the movies, but they basically needed Thanos, but they weren't ready to have Thanos
Yeah, they kind of made him Thanos light.
down. I mean, I think they pulled it off decently, especially since
Mm.
Thanos himself was there. It it's kind of equivalent in my mind to DCU's universe, where for Justice League they needed Darkseid. They wanted Darkseid so bad, but they couldn't get Darkseid for whatever reasons. So we had CGI idiot villain, who was a minor character who got up jumped to be not Darkseid.
Oh, you
Uh,
you actually watched that entire thing. Once they went red screen with everything, I just gave up.
well, that's too bad.
All
You
right.
missed you missed some quality mustache removal.
God. Okay, so Ronan the Accuser, also known as Ronan the Accuser.
Uh,
He's got 6 health. He's medium. He's size 3, and he's 4 threat. Cool. All right, game off.
all right. Well, James, can you recite? Can you parrot back to me my theories on four threat characters?
Your 4 threat character theory is they're kind of like the mainstream. They have a lot of wide abilities, but they're not super game changing like a sixer.
Solid. Ronan has solid defenses actually, along with his 6 health. He
I'm actually
has
really
three,
surprised that he doesn't have a 4 physical. He's got 3.
but he does have 4 energy and 4 mystic defense, which is solid defensive numbers actually. So his basic strike, uh, similar to other characters, it's range 2 with 5 dice, cost 0, and he gets power equal to the damage he deals with it. However, as a fun flavor, he has wild for a throw, where he can throw a character size 4 or less short. That's nice. It really is nice to have a throw on your basic attack.
Yeah,
Um,
anytime you have a throw and a basic attack for a 0 cost, it's like yay.
he has another 0 cost attack, the Universal Weapon, an energy attack with range 4 and 5 dice. It has wild for push. If the target character is size 4 or less, he can push them short, and if they deal any damage, then he gives them the shock special condition. Shock will reduce their attacks by 1 die.
Yep.
That's actually really solid. Range 4, having be able to vary up between range 2 and range 4 is super useful. It increases the engagement range a lot. The fact is another 0 cost attack means he's got options. 5 dice is pretty standard for at this threat level.
You have you have a pretty good chance on 5 dice to get at least 1 wild.
Yeah, it's gonna probably happen about half the time.
You
But
actually it's
it gives him
1 on an 8. So you have a 1 in 8 chance every die. No wait, how many sides of the dice is?
Let me investigate. Uh,
God, I haven't played in such a long time. I don't remember the dice sides.
I've played uh, I've played 2 games in the last 3 days over Tabletop Simulator, and fun bonus, I am in fact using Tabletop Simulator as reference material open in one of my other windows. A quick shout out. If you guys want to check out some of our videos, you can see the Marvel Crisis Protocol mod on Tabletop Simulator. It's extremely quality, and it's got a long list of people who helped create it. I'm torn on trying to list them all here. But go
So
check it out if you have Tabletop Simulator.
I think because
Okay,
it's doing math in my head. You have like around
there is one wild on an 8-sided die, so 1 in 8
so
chance.
so you have a 1 in 8 chance times 5. So you have technically a 5 in 8 chance.
Yes, that is statistics.
So you're looking at uh, dang it.
Roughly half the time, slightly better than half the time.
Yeah. You have 62% chance, 63% chance.
But push is great on a range attack. Shuri lives and dies by it. Hers is guaranteed, which makes it a lot more reliable. But it's a good tool. Ronan has a final attack, Kree Justice. Range 2 with 8 dice, costing 4 power to use. This is absolutely, at an 8 dice attack, this is a really solid hit. It's probably comparable with like baseline Hulk for hitting, so you can hit things with it. If this attack deals any damage, after it's resolved, the target gains stun and stagger.
That's pretty nice.
Stun will reduce their power gain to 1 if they would gain more than 1,
Yep.
and stagger will just cost them an action. That's incredible. It's especially high value against someone who is at full health or has a lot of health or is likely to reduce the damage. So it's incredibly effective against very sturdy and tough characters. Great against Hulk.
Yeah, and then on the wild you get explosive before damage is dealt. Other enemy characters within 2 of the target character suffer as 1 damage.
So it even has some AoE capability on the wild, which on 8 dice, yeah, you should
You
be
should have
very
at least a one
consistent.
wild. I mean, you can never say 100%, but you're running at like 95% chance of getting at least one wild.
So
It's still one in
we'll,
eight. It's 1 in 8 on 8 dice.
yeah, we'll come back to that in a hot second about dice. But for right now, just by the numbers and what's on the text, those are 3 really solid attacks. Like nothing spammable. Like there's nothing in here that would make you go, yeah, this is clearly what we're all about, like Hawkeye or Rocket. But these are all gives you engagement ranges, gives you a variety of damage types. It's a
Hmm.
very solid 4 threat package.
Good for passing
Unders-
out a little. Like, while he does still have like Kree Justice is a little expensive at 4. It does a lot, but it's expensive at 4. You're not gonna be doing it like every single turn. But passing out shock on universal weapon at a range 4, that's still pretty dang good.
Shock, real quick. Again, I got a little bit of play experience where Shock was on the table. Shock really does change up some of the math more than it seems by dropping 1 die, but it takes like a standard bread and butter 5 dice attack to get energy, drops it to 4, and now there's a lot of characters whose defenses are going to mitigate that. Um, and I know I'm saying words that are very self-explanatory. Dice probability, I have a new appreciation for. It's super swingy, um, and it dice being dice, it tends to have a bigger impact than you might think, or at least has the potential. Okay, first superpower for Ronan, Judgment. When this character or an allied character within 3 of this character is damaged by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, you can use this to give them Judgment. Costs 2 power to use. Judgment says they do not gain power from being damaged by attacks. Do you want to cut your opponent off at the knees almost completely? Judgment will do that. Um, so if you throw something at the opponent or otherwise cause a damaging effect, they'll still get power. But like say you throw this on Hulk, or you throw this on a character with a big health pool that's relying on taking hits to generate energy for their abilities, this is going to slow them down a lot.
Does that fall off at the end of the round, or is
It
that?
does not.
Oh man, that's gonna neuter Asgardians.
I mean, as Guardians will be able to shake that. But, and I think you can always use an action to shake it, in which case, hey, you just got staggered for 2 power.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
it's not bad. It's if you are
Say,
the
my
great
dude,
thing about this is that it's not it doesn't say on your turn. It's just when somebody else does. So if so like say you have a character attack Venom within three of you, Venom then just decides to do an attack. You can pass judgment off on that character, even though it's not your turn.
yes, that is 100%. It's a reactive power to
Yep.
your opponent's turn. I played into it. Judgment has a bigger impact than you think. It really does, because you either have to get rid of it, or one of the main sources of resource generation in the game is gone, which means no tactics, no interacting with objectives,
So
and you can't use your abilities.
they still get power from the original attack because it's after the effect is resolved.
But that was an attack against you. So you slap judgment on them, and now attacks against that character will not generate them power.
Okay.
Yeah, no. It's if you have the judgment status condition, which we so far is definitely unique to Ronan, then that means that essentially you've marked that character as mess his day up. He gets nothing for it.
Yeah, that is a good way of neutering, say, like Hulk.
Or almost any offensive character who is tanking. Like a lot of tank builds,
Mm-hmm.
like Okoye or Captain America, for example, like they're counting on bodyguarding
Yep.
and then using that damage to bodyguard again to buy time. Um, Again, this Ronan's a lot. Ronan's doing a lot of small things, which don't seem like a lot, but they add up to a very. He's actually really good at draining your opponent's resources because he can throw stun out. Okay, and finally, his other superpower is the Accuser. If an enemy effect would cause his character to be dazed or KO'd after the effect is resolved, you may use the superpower. This character immediately advances short and can make one attack targeting the enemy character that caused the effect. Then he is dazed or KO'd as normal. This costs 0. So you can pretty much always guarantee it's going to happen.
Hold on. After the effect is resolved, okay, so basically somebody starts to decay. You've already gained the power, so you could technically move short and then hit somebody with Creed Justice.
James, do you want to know when the most likely time for Creed Justice to come out is?
When you get dazed.
When Ronan's getting dazed or knocked out. Those were the 2 times that happened to me
Where's
playing
where's
against Josh this week.
where's the card that says if you're dazed, you can be flipped back over for 1 health? And with 1 health,
Yeah, that is a
med
tactic
pack.
card.
Yeah,
I can try to find that real quick.
I think it's med pack. But yeah, that makes it happen twice for 0 cost, and that's still freaking amazing.
It's only going to happen like twice per game, but if it's on a Creed Justice, like Creed Justice will flat out get rid of a smaller character. You do have to target whoever hit you. So
Yep.
if they're outside short +2, you're going to use Universal Weapon.
Wow, hold on. So Ronan's about to get dazed. I get hit. I spend 2 for judgment so they can't get power back. And then I spend 0 to do the Accuser, move short, and if I have 4 extra, I can do Creed Justice. Or I can strike them, gain power, and then throw them short if I get the wild.
Yeah.
And then
No,
I can spend the extra power I get off of strike to use med pack or whatever it's called to flip myself back over to normal side.
Field dressing is
Field
the
dressing.
tactics card you're thinking of. Field dressing says a character within 2 of a dazed allied character can spend 4 power to remove dazed and add a health back.
Yeah.
It has to be done. The round they were dazed.
Yep, that would make that insane. Because then you have to look at him and just be like, he got all his power from being dazed before. Do I want to hit him again and hopefully get 1? Or do I want and take the Accuser? Or yeah, that it's situational, but it's still really good to make somebody like doubt their life.
Finally, Ronan has two passive abilities. He has immunity to poison. Poison would rob you of one power during the power phase.
That's not bad.
And he has Gem Bearer for the Power Stone. Because of course he does.
That that's a good case for the Power Stone actually.
Ronan makes good use of the Power Stone. Like the only ability, so Judgment can be used multiple times in the round. It is even during the same turn. It actually doesn't say once per turn. So you could, if someone hits one character with an effect, like a throw is a good example. Say someone punches one of your characters and then throws them into another character. Ronan could trigger Judgment off of both of those damaging effects. It would. I realize half of this example you wouldn't, because the character would already have Judgment from the first one.
I know, but
Uh,
if he had some way of clearing it, so like he um so say he got like a character throws something or hits someone with something,
mhm.
gets judgment on him. Next turn he spends something, he does a card or something to clear himself and attacks again, then you could do it again. Once again, it's very situational. It probably will never come up. You know, you don't have to worry
Um,
about it.
but so
The
playing,
option's there.
it's a good option. Playing against Ronan a little bit and kind of looking at his card, I really like Ronan.
Damage side, does he have anything changed?
We don't believe he has any changes on the damage side. He still has 6 stamina, which actually is a decent amount of stamina, especially with 4 defenses on energy and psychic. 3 physical is kind of okay, but kind of my thought, Ronan with the universal weapon and the fact that it's actually a pretty good attack that can put out a debuff and pushes, I think you kind of want to actually play Ronan at midfield and then
Mm.
close to melee when you need to try to throw something or you have enough energy to Kree Justice. I think Ronan wants to be kind of in the middle of the pack towards the front because he's sturdy and he can definitely apply a pain. And then when he does get taken out, you want him to be close enough to actually Kree Justice somebody. But he can still engage from your midfield, and his bubble for Judgment has to be allies within 3. So say you have a tank or a bodyguard within 3 of Ronan, and the attack's being directed at them, you can start passing out Judgment to the enemy team.
Yeah, that's actually he is a pretty dang good midfielder. With all his abilities, especially if there is an objective token in the middle, or I would say he's also a really good football carrier. So going out, picking up like a Cree, or picking up the flower, or picking up something, anything that's going to require, like especially picking up one of the hammers from that scenario, uh, that makes him even better at everything he wants to do. He's got the defenses to actually carry it, and he's got uh, the abilities of people. I don't want to touch this guy because he's going to pass off judgment to me, or I'm going to flip him and he's going to do the accuser.
Yeah.
He's
Ronan's a really effective debuffer. He's actually really good at making your opponent's team a little bit worse and swinging sort of like small cuts of attrition back to you.
I still don't like. I'm still not excited about him. Like everything he does is very very good. The abilities to do throws on basic attacks, abilities to pass out shock conditions on a basic attack, Kree Justice at 4, basically doing an explosion so you can actually hit, like, if you have camping people around like a point, you can now do more, and it's explosive. They just take damage. Um, I still am not excited about him.
I think you just don't like the character, which is fine.
No, it's still fine. It's just I I I think he's just vanilla. Like he doesn't do anything that's really amazing other than Judgment and the Accuser. He's just
I mean, to
he's
be
a
fair,
he's a
that
beat
is
stick.
his unique. Yeah.
Hmm.
Again, like the back to the threat model for where a character should be, 4 points should be a beat stick with a few good mechanics. Like most 4 point models should be able to take and give a hit which I think Ronan does really well.
I,
Um,
he's a very good 4 point, but I think
I
he's
think
definitely
taking
he's definitely better than some other 4 points.
that is
Um,
true. There's enough four threat models in the game now that I think Ronan does beat out a few other ones for where he could compete with your list. And what I'll point out, the tactics cards that came with the Ronan and Drax box, neither of them are Ronan specific. So he doesn't have any unique tactics cards that you have to take into you should take into consideration when including him.
oh, field
So I
dressing.
think,
You should take field dressing. Just like
well, yeah,
don't let that one to go.
but I think Ronan will fit into most lists. Like he doesn't really have any glaring weaknesses. I feel like his physical defense is a little weak, which is why I might keep him at midfield until you're ready to commit him, because most physical attacks are range two, or range two or three. So he can outrange that with his energy blast. Now you're going to have exceptions like Hawkeye and Winter Soldier come to mind immediately as long range physical attacks.
So Black Dwarf is also a 4.
He is. Black Dwarf is going to do a lot more damage up close, though.
Yeah, but the problem is with the Black Order, I was having a hard time figuring out how Black Dwarf. I know how Black Dwarf fits in with the Black Order, um, but I had a hard time figuring out where he gets placed on the field with Ebony Maw and the husband wife team and Thanos. He just kind of fits in nowhere and everywhere at the same time. It might be good for me to put Ronan in as a swap out to give me a little
Yeah.
extra range and passing out the shocks.
Since Black Order tends to be a fairly tanky team with their invulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
taking away your opponent's dice is going to make them even tankier.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned a couple times, and you could probably see the videos on Facebook. I did play a few. I did play a game, and I played another game with Josh where I tried out Black Order. Black Order has power consumption issues, surprisingly, and this may not shock you. Um, Part of the downside of being tanky is you're not getting power from being attacked.
Yeah.
So you genuinely like as many cool murder things as Black Order does, they are pretty reliant on dealing damage to get power. So that is worth noting. Now, Ronan can't stop that. For example, like Judgment is only when they get attacked. Um, but that is one of the two most common ways for characters to get power. Like
You also have
actually,
to be actually Judgment has no range on the person attacking. You only have to be
yes.
within 3 of the character being damaged, not the person doing the damage, which makes that insane because now Rocket from like halfway across the board can be tagged by it. Who's another good range 5? Uh,
Hawkeye, Winter
Hawkeye.
Soldier. Now,
Actually,
granted,
Hawkeye's amazing. That's amazing against Hawkeye because with his "I can shoot through walls and around corners" nonsense, you don't have to see him. You just go, "Cool, you damage this guy. Judgment on you."
yep. The fair point about that one being though is unless you're rushing to engage or clearing a point, are you attacking Hawkeye?
I would attack Hawkeye. I would actually dedicate a character to go and attack him.
Well, fair, but he's probably at range five,
Yeah, I mean,
and he's probably behind a wall.
he is probably behind a wall. If you're smart, he's behind some large cover, behind a building, on top of a building, laying down, hiding. He is not standing out in the open.
So
Um,
I,
but
I think Judgment is a good status effect. I think it's especially effective against people who are going to get hit. Amazingly enough, shock. So if you can get it on your opponent's damage dealers or your priority target, like if you know someone's really nasty, once you focus them and they have all that power, see if you can get Ronan in position to be near what they're going after, so you can slap Judgment on them and then pile in as you would. Like Judgment on Hulk is fantastic.
Judgment on Hulk or anyone that has reactive powers. Um, oh,
Yep.
like Hail Hydra. That is a great example. If you're taking away power, if you're taking away the ability to generate power because I'm getting hit from say Red Skull, they don't have that power anymore to pass it off all the
So
rest of the damage. I know it doesn't drain power. I know it just stops them from getting power from the hit, but it's still dang good. Where
still dang good.
Red Skull does a blast, you go, cool, you're not getting power from being hit anymore, and then he just goes, do I want to do something else? Do I need to hold on to this power for Hail Hydra, or I'm gonna be sitting out in the open doing nothing? It's Ronan's good at making you make bad decisions. Um,
It's also very cute that with the existence of judgment, like say you did take Ronan in a Black Order team, you have Proxima Midnight who could throw poison around pretty easily. You could have, my, like my stupid theory craft is, yes, what if I had Ronan put judgment, someone put poison, and then we stun them, and just be like,
they just
you
sit
get
there like, I can't do anything all day.
you get no power per turn, no power when being attacked, and you only get one power when you do a basic strike on someone. What will you do now? Where is your god?
Just
And
sit
then
there and
they
go,
just,
and just sit there and go. I daze myself. Just clear everything.
yeah,
Like
it
I
is.
said, he's. I do have a feeling he's going to fit into my Black Order. At least my. Uh, he'll be my alternate to Black Dwarf.
That seems like a fair play. Um, you're going to lose out on damage overall because
Uh,
Black Dwarf just flat out does more damage potential.
but I'll gain a little bit of range, and I will gain somebody who is because I'm bringing field dressing anyway with Black Order. Um, so I can flip over Thanos after he gets dazed. Uh,
That's fair.
but especially with Thanos's affiliation with Black Order, where I get extra points for killing people. With the Accuser happening out there, there's a high probability I'm going to be dazing or KOing somebody on a counter strike.
Yeah, that's
Counter
fair.
strike.
So I don't know if we have anything else per se. I do want to talk a little bit about dice probability and dice math. So a couple of games this week, I had some experiences kind of shaped and influenced by how dice were going. So just again, remind people, as from a game design perspective, this isn't actually a very swingy game. Numbers are low,
Yep.
overall health is low, and dice are super swingy. There's only like 3 sides on a given die. Let me double check real quick. But I think there's only like 3 sides on a given die that are ever going to be successful
Yeah, because you've got a
for any
hit,
given check.
you've got a hit, you've got a crit, you've got a skull, you've got a shield, and you've got a wild.
So there are 2 hits on the die and 1 shield.
Yeah, shield doesn't count, but you got a wild and you've
Right.
got a crit, which means you have a 50% chance on each die of having at least one success
On an attack.
on attack.
And slightly less than that for a block. So just kind of try to bear that in mind when making the best laid plans. We usually fall apart to dice. And try not to take any of the things we're saying as this is going to consistently happen in your games.
Oh no, when we say stuff like, "Oh, you have a 62% chance to get this," it's not truly a 62% chance because it's still a 1 in 8 chance on a die and you're just throwing lots of dice.
And
So
hoping.
it's not really you're getting a 62% chance. You still have a 1 in 8 chance. It's just you're doing a 1 in 8, 1 in 8, 1 in 8, 1 in 8. Um, don't trust, like, always have a backup plan. If you're going, like, I'm tossing out 10 dice and I just need a wild, assume you're not going to get that wild. Like, it's a very high probability that you're going to get the wild, but there's also a small probability you're going to get no wilds. And when you need it most, that's when it's going to come up.
So that's partially why I think Ronan in particular is worth mentioning. There's now a few ways to put shock out. Hawkeye can do shock, Star Lord can do shock, and Ronan can do shock. And so you may not have had a chance to play with it yet, since those are all relatively within the last 3 to 4 months characters that have been released. Shock does change up probabilities quite a bit.
Yep.
So play with it. It's going to help blunt a lot of attacks against you. Um, and always remember you can spend one of your character's actions to get rid of a status condition. So if your opponent's really hampering you, or if you maybe don't need to take 2 attacks this turn, like maybe you just need to push someone off a control point, and then you can use another action to clear judgment.
Yeah.
So
If you've got something like shock on you, and you don't need to do 2 attacks, just get rid of the shock on your first action. Treat it like a stun. Treat it like a not a stun. Um,
stagger.
Stagger. Thank you. So many S words. Treat it like a stagger. Just go ahead and get rid of one of the conditions on you, and go ahead and do your next attack. It will save yourself in the long run, unless you know you're going against somebody who's just like Star Lord, who's just going to throw more crap on you. Just wait.
Yeah. So what talk about real quick is there were 2 new tactics cards with the Ronan and Drax box. Just go over those real quick.
Which I've
No
not
matter.
seen, so you'll have to feel this one.
Yeah, I got it. I got you, boo. No matter the cost, when a character declares an attack action during their activation, they can suffer 1 to 3 damage to play, no matter the cost. Reduce the power cost of that attack by the amount of damage you took. So you ever want to throw out a 1 power Kree Justice, or whatever big attack you need, like maybe a Cosmic Assassin on Gamora, or Hulk, who would love ways to take damage.
Does that get around stun?
No. Oh, sorry, it doesn't interact with stun because it's not a gain power effect. It is a cost reduction.
So it does. It's a way of getting around.
Yeah.
It's a weird way of getting around stun. It's not
Well,
really. It's not really getting around. Oh god.
I was gonna say it doesn't interact with stun at all. Leave stun out of this.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Stun is different.
It is. It's just. It's a weird way of approaching things. Um, it's not bad. You're especially for Hulk.
Yeah.
Or anything that's got super amounts of health like MODOK. Um, I mean,
Or if you just need, I think it's great to have in your back pocket if you just need to really get a big attack or you need a specific effect.
take it with Guardians of the Galaxy, because if you don't use it, I mean, that's a card that's like, do I really want to spend 3 of my own health? Because
Well, it doesn't have to be 3, but
well, yes, up to 3. But if you look at like Ronan, you're at half health already if you're
yep,
going to spend all 3. So
it's risky.
it's a last ditch effort to do a massive amount of damage.
And the other card is Unearthly Rage. During a character's activation, it may spend 2 power to play it. This activation, if the character is within range 2 of 2 or more enemy characters, when making its next attack, add 2 dice to the attack roll.
Oh, that's good to give Blackwater.
It's paying 2 power to get 2 dice, which is it's cheaper than Iron Man's Friday AI to do essentially the same thing.
Is it inactive?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't do it like on Venom's.
It has to be during your activation.
Yeah, because it can't be on Venom's things. Anyone who's going to be in the middle of everything going on, Black Panther, that's a good one for it. Killmonger, oh god, Killmonger. Giving him extra 2 dice for 2 power, which he's already sitting on top of, plus all his other nonsense. You can basically just one-shot anything.
I mean, he's got to be in the fracas. Like, this is essentially is rewarding you or giving you a bonus for being in the middle of a bunch of enemies.
Oh, it's actually also if you're attacking somebody who's got a bodyguard, like Okoye or anyone within 2 of Red Skull.
That's fair. I hadn't thought of that. It's a good use for it. That could be a solid counter to bodyguard or a way to punish it.
Yeah.
If you can get within both.
Oh, Groot, you're looking after Rocket? Thank you.
That could be a way to spike into Groot too.
I think that card is going to be very good for killing bodyguards.
Yep. That's a great use I had not thought of. Good point. All right, I think that's what we got for today. Hopefully soon we'll be able to talk to you guys again about Drax the Destroyer, the other half of this box. Drax is, I I think overall, Ronan and Drax is one of my favorite two characters to come out as a set. It's definitely worth considering picking up. Um, Drax is a fantastic value for 3 threat.
All right, I have to go assemble Thanos.
Do you want to hold up for the audience what you're talking about?
Wait, he's right there, just glaring at you, ominously.
Well, everyone take care, stay safe, and game off.
Yeah, game off, and wait till the 29th. Apparently, they're announcing they're giving up post-it notes. What? There's a big circle with an X on it on a post-it note. They're giving it. Game off.